Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Shayar. This is Good Morning India edition, and we have with us General Ravi Shankar. General Shankar, Namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel. How are you, sir?
Namaskar and thanks a lot. And
So,
good morning, India.
Good morning, India, sir. And this is a totally new landscape for General Shankar. So, this is natural light where he is sitting and doing it. Wonderful, sir. Light is excellent. Let's jump right on into what is happening between United States and Iran. Sir, I think it was 1808 or 1811 when the United States Navy, docked right outside the closed islands of Japan and force them to open up. I'm wondering if something similar is being played out 200 years later, 200 plus years later in Iran. US has basically got all of their supposed warships and other things in place. And then what's happening? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, this is complete gunboat diplomacy, the good old manner. But I think one has to look beyond that. This is not, one way of looking at it is it's gunboat diplomacy. But the other way of looking at it is that Trump doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to get into a scrap and he wants to do it diplomatically. And this is what is coming out. But let's look at it from a fundamental viewpoint. Why is all this going on? What is U.S. interest? What is U.S. end game in this? Which is that is important to understand under any condition. We don't understand that, we are all out. We are all out of the equation. And in my way of thinking, and it is supported by everyone's way of thinking also, Trump wants a deal with Iran, nuclear deal, so that Iran doesn't have the capability to carry out a nuclear strike either in that region or anywhere else. It should not have nuclear capability. That's the first thing. And what is the components of this nuclear capability as per Trump? Basically, fundamentally, it is this that, all nuclear fissile material which is in Iran should be handed over to USA. And no more nuclear research, nothing, zero. That's the thing. But second, missile capability, right? Iran shouldn't develop long-range missile capability. And of course, the third angle, which is over and above this, Iran should no more support Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, and all those. These are the three conditions which US wants. Right? But that's the first part. The second thing is a change of, equation in Iran. And, if all this comes in, get Iran into the fold, open up its thing, control the oil market, and keep China out of the game, Russia out of the game. These are the two things. If Iran is under his control, everything else happens. Everything else flows from that. So I think this is what US game plan is. Now, how can this be achieved? Can this be achieved by a military strike? Can this be achieved by actual attacking? Can this be achieved by diplomacy? These are the issues which Trump and almost everyone is asking. We know that China is not going to help Iran. We know that Russia is not going to help Iran, except some diplomacy and all that. That means very little to a guy like Trump. So what is it that, is happening? I mean, we have to understand that. So they started talking. They went to Oman and they started talking yesterday. They say, okay, good talks are going on. But what are the fundamentals of a deal and what's happening? All that has not come out as it. Right? We don't know what that whole deal is all about. In fact, I don't know if there's a deal in the offing. It's only the first thing. So he's looking for a deal. Trump is a man of deals. Will this come about? It's not going to be easy. Iran is probably at its weakest now, and Iran is hedging. It's hedging around. It's not hedging with others. It's hedging around this The last card which Iran has, it's nuclear thing, right? And it's going to hedge. It's going to hedge, and it's going to hedge. Uh, will Trump be able to pull off a deal? I don't know, right? Uh, Anything less than denuclearizing Iran and missiling Iran is a failure. The way I look at it. I mean, so how does he do that? Can he do it the way it's going on? I don't think so. Something else has to be done. And is he done something? He has. That's the interesting part. He sanctioned the dark fleets, right? Already 15 entities have been sanctioned and all that, if you remember. It's happened 2 days back, right? So he started going after the oil. If oil out of Iran is stopped, right? If oil out of Iran is stopped, right, then Trump has a chance. What will happen? Uh, Oil out of Iran will ensure that Iranian money story inside is upset. Inflation comes in. All those things which happened, will come in. And you have to reboil Iran from internal. Only then will a change happen. External military pressure, external diplomatic pressure, bottle up Iran's oil. This is what he's trying. And if you bottle up Iran's oil, it will hit China also. I mean, there's always the China angle. Don't leave it out, right? And then things will happen, and probably some threat from the east, all that. But at the same time, keep threatening. If needed, undertake a strike. Don't rule out a not strike, a focus strike. Take out one leader, couple of chaps, some assassination. It's all in the cards along with Israel. So all these things are at this point of time. Will he go in for a major attack, major thing? I don't think so. I don't think Trump has the capability to carry out major attack into Iran. And this is not only my view, it is everyone's view. And yesterday I was also speaking to Dr. John Elmer, and those of you who are from Ganashot would know, we had a long chat between Brigadier Saigal and John Elmer on this. I don't think he'll go. But Iran is also in a fix. What does it do? Because the real has gone to about 160. $1 to 160 reals. It's fallen, right? The inflation is high. And we heard Scott Bessent say that they manipulated the dollar, availability into Iran, and as a result, could, do many things. So, a lot is in the cards. It's nebulous. I don't think any strike will come in a hurry. And these are my initial views. We could discuss.
Thank you, sir. One of the other things that's going to happen, let's just play this thing out. Definitely, United States wants to establish its petrodollar, doctrine around the world. And one way to do that is having, done it in Venezuela, is to take control in Iran and make sure that people who are going to buy Iranian oil and natural gas will pay for it in dollars. So there's an interesting problem arising out of Qatar and Iran that many people are not realizing. Right now, Iran is not pumping out LNG because of sanctions, whereas Qatar is. What happens is, this is a single unified gas field, and it's under the ocean. There is no wall separating the Iran portion from the Qatari portion. And as Qatar keeps sucking gas out, it creates a low pressure on Qatar side, and the gas from Iranian side starts coming in. So Iran is not happy about it, but right now they have so many problems that they're not saying much about it. But if US starts controlling Iran's energy assets, be sure that this is going to be a big deal. So Qatar, brace yourself. It's about time you guys got some of your own shtick back. That's what I say, because I've been very critical of the role that Qatar plays. They always like to run with the hares and hunt with the hounds. Anyway, this is just my personal opinion. I'm sure others will disagree with me. So this is another angle here. So petrodollar, if supposing this happens and Iran also comes under the petrodollar umbrella, do you think the United States will still be able to enforce? After all, India is not going to buy unless it has to in US dollars, isn't it?
Look, let's be very clear. Iran will be more than happy to get into the petrodollar system. See, today it is selling a barrel of oil to China at around $20 or $30 a barrel, which is virtually
Correct.
half or one third the price of
Obscene,
today's
obscene cut. Yeah, obscenely
obscene
low
cut.
prices.
Okay,
Yeah.
and China charges thrice the amount for anything China sells to Iran. That's a normal Chinese playbook. Okay, and all that nonsense, of the strategic deal between China and Iran has got very little meaning today for Iran. Right? USA, Russia can't help Iran out except talk meaninglessly. Okay, and that's a hard, realistic way of looking at it. So where does uh, Iran go? And if Iran is out of sanctions, look, I'm looking at a deal like Venezuela. The Venezuela model, if given to Iran, will Iran fall? That's the point. What's the Venezuela model? What did he do with Delcy Rodriguez? He said the same government, it is Maduro's government, the top's taken off. That's all. And Delcy Rodriguez is doing whatever she wants inside, isn't it? Only thing is, oil is with Trump and Maduro is with him. So, China is out. These three conditions, if he can impose on Iran and it is sold to Iran during the talk, why you want to get with oil this thing? Or they come to some interim arrangement on the nuclear deal, and they say, okay, you come back, your economy will improve, people will improve, you continue with your power. Mulladam continues, we are not bothered. But your energy, nuclear sites will be under inspection, no more fissile material beyond 3%, which is required for reactors. 3% is what? 3% enrichment is required for reactor grade fuel. And all your 40-60% thing which you have done, give it off. And come to a deal. Look at it from the Iranian viewpoint also. They've come to an end point. And the people are on the verge of rebellion. Fine, today Iran has suppressed them by killing 30,000 or 20,000 or 3,000, whatever that number is. But tomorrow, if they get into another crisis, no one helps them. Where do they go? Isn't it better to remain in power, right? Rather than be out of power and get killed and chaos and all that. I mean, it's okay to be ideological and all that. Iran is ideological. It is a funny state. It's not so easy to handle Iran. All that we know. So all this put together, there is a case which can just happen, right? And it's a very powerful case of Venezuela. Earlier, when Iran and US interacted, this case was not there. This circumstance was not there. This model was not there. But today, that model is there. And the point which you made about Qatar is very good, actually important, because Iran has been wanting to get that entire oil field. And that's one of the reasons why Qatar bases the US Central Command there. Advanced that thing. You see, not only that, even Qatar, the Saudis have also been eyeing Qatar. That's why Qatar has Al Jazeera. Media is a powerful tool. I mean, if I talk of Qatar, I can keep talking of Qatar. We'll not go there. So, Iran also knows. Iran doesn't media to support it. Who supports media over Iran? At least, during Ops Sindoor, Pakistan was supported by China and USA media-wise. Who's supporting Iran? Even Al Jazeera, if you look, read into it, is my view that Iran is also running out of options. But Iran is a tough negotiator. It is a negotiator which can survive all this. That's the important thing. It can survive all this and it will keep dragging out like it did. Can it do that? To what end? There has to be some logic in why Iran is doing what it is doing. And there's also to be a logic in what Trump is doing. Trump's logic is very clear. Okay, it's the Iranian thing. Where do they want to go? It and I would say some kind of a face-saving deal for Iran internal regime will be good. An economic deal for Iran will be good, and I don't think it's going to be lost on them. See, Iran is also aware of something else. Uh, USA is going to get into Pakistan. It's going to have presence in Pakistan. There's no choice. And this presence is going to be for a long time to come. And where is that? On the Iranian border. In Rikodik copper mines. That's part of the deal. And that program I'll be doing today evening on Ghana Short separately. That's a different story. But the fact is, if USA gets there, then it threatens Iran from the east. So Iran will say, look, let me start talking. So this is how I think things are going to go. Your views on this, your opinion, any questions, I'm more than happy.
Thank you, sir. My take is that Iran, even if it does agree, there'll be a token change of regime. It will not be Khamenei. They'll bring in a more moderate face. And perhaps, just like what you said, Delcy Rodriguez kind of thing, Pezeshkian, who is the president, might be the one who say, okay, this is the guy who's going to do it. And because I think Trump has already expressed a view that Pahlavi is not who he's looking for to replace Khamenei. So there are other politics there. So let's just leave that thing aside for now. That way, what happens is the unrest is kind of under control, and someone has to be taken or assigned responsibility. That might be Khamenei. Health grounds is always convenient. We know his son is moving to Dubai soon. So there's a chapter that might get closed and a new chapter will begin. My curiosity, and I think we are coming on the opposite sides here, is how will Iran continue to have the subsidy that it is giving? Because Iran has a lot of pent-up stuff. I mean, they have spent almost all their output in nuclear, missile, and also subsidizing their one commodity that they have. So I have a feeling that they'll have to, remove the subsidy, but I think you said they won't. My guess is that somewhere here, US will have a role to play here.
No. I mean, subsidy is an internal thing. Why will Iran bother? Why will USA bother about subsidies Iran gives to its people? That doesn't affect Trump at all. That's my view. The subsidy is what Iran gives to its own people. Why are you bothered about it? Let them. That's for their regime survival.
It's also running the informal. No. Sorry, let me just answer the question. It's running the informal economy of Pakistan. That's the thing.
That they know. They know that. And they're doing it with a purpose. See, the purpose is that then they have control over that informal economy and that part. Then you have control over that place, You have influence there. This informal economy and subsidized thing is influence. And this informal economy also on both sides of the border. They know that. That is not a major issue for decision making. This informal economy, everyone knows. So that I don't think will, affect the Iranian way of thought to deal with USA. If that informal economy is not running in Balochistan and Pakistan, also with this place, Afghanistan. And probably it's going some part to the other places also. So
the other countries also, Azerbaijan
and all that. Western side, yeah, even Turkey it might be having. That border economy you can't stop. But the fact is that Iran needs an economic out. If it has to control, do whatever it has. And if Iran might well decide to fight another day, live to fight another day. Yeah, like you said, there might be a regime change, but who will come? Whether Pezeshkian will be able to come, all that is internal. He will leave that to them internally. He will not get involved. Trump will not get involved with running a country. He'll not make the mistake of what everyone did in Afghanistan. That Afghanistan model is out. So what I mean, the way I look at it, there might be a few strikes to convince at the right time. You see, if you carry out strikes, then during talks you might like to bend. But what do you strike in Iran? The next thing is what is that thing which you're going to strike, right? And there might be a few actions to secure a few places, a commando action or a covert action and things like that, which will give its own messages. Because today Iran is isolated; it doesn't have help. So that's the problem which Iran has. So let's see how it goes. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Thank you so much, sir. And also, there is this other question that they found out after they cleared up the mess in Venezuela, that much work has to be done to start pumping gas to a higher level. Who knows what kind of surprises in store in Iran too. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not saying one way
We'll
or
have to
the
wait
other.
and see.
Yeah.
We'll have to
So
wait
let's
and
go
see.
on to
But
the next.
no,
Mhm.
last point, Iran has been pumping out oil. Their thing is not stopped. Okay, but then, well, we don't know. These are interesting times we are living in, and okay, so let's see how things go.
Thank you, sir. Let's go to the second topic, which is China tightening or even banning cryptos inside China. And see, viewers, we have predicted this in UK, where they had come up with the Digital ID Act. We had said that that's the first step to having central bank digital currency in the UK and then perhaps in Europe, where they are going to substitute the euro slash pound with these digital currencies, digital euro and digital pound. And when that happens, Bitcoin is going to be as good as dead. Now, China has done the same thing. People are saying that Bitcoin will suffer short term, but it might recover. We'll have to wait and see. So, your thoughts? I'm going to do a monologue on this, viewers. We're going to do modeling and play out different scenarios on Bitcoin's value and so on. That will come later. Let's just listen to General Shankar on his first thoughts on this.
Yeah, look, bitcoins are, the way I look at it, pretty shady. Cryptocurrency bitcoins are shady businesses. A lot of shady money goes into it and comes out, and a lot of it is not known. It's not clear. I don't. The number of people who know this is very little, but there are a fundamental few factors. I'll have to tell you a story for this, and it's not connected with bitcoins. Why did Jack Ma? Why was Jack Ma sacked and sent off into the boondocks? It goes back to Alipay. You know, just before the COVID, he started. Remember that Ant Group IPO, just threatening everything. It was pulled out at the last minute, and after that, Jack Ma was tested. The fundamental reason for that was there was something called Alipay, which Jack Ma had started. Now, Alipay enabled payment in any currency, right, based on blockchain. And that currency need not be yuan. And Alipay base currency was ceasing to be yuan. I mean, it is something like, see, in India, in Amazon, you pay in rupees, isn't it? That rupees ultimately gets converted into a dollar by Amazon, and when it enters the American thing, so there's a route. In this case, Alipay was, I would say, a forerunner of Bitcoin. The currency was, I wouldn't say, it was not UN. Okay. That put the alarm under Xi Jinping. And Xi Jinping killed Ant. It is not because of Ant Group, IPO, and all that. Of course, control. So the Communist Party always goes for control. That's the first thing. A Bitcoin leaves your currency out of control. See, currency is a sovereign guarantee by the state that it will, honor and give a particular amount to that person. That thing. After all, when you see any note, what is it? I promise. It's a promissory note. It's a legalized promissory note to that individual that you will get a value of 1 rupee, $1, 1 yuan, whatever. With George Washington's face or Mao's face or Gandhiji's face. Right? So that if the currency is bypassed of any nation, its sovereignty gets eroded. Or if any manipulation takes care out of that currency on a day-to-day basis within that nation, it's gone. The sovereignty of that. For example, I remember when I went to Cambodia. Anywhere in Cambodia, I don't even know which is the currency of Cambodia, because everywhere in Cambodia you only traded in dollars. I mean, very funny. You go to a market and eat something, you'll say $1 or $2. Everything, even rate cards at restaurants were in dollars. So where is the sovereignty of Cambodia? Gone. Similarly, Bitcoin threatens the sovereignty of yuan. That's the first thing. Any Bitcoin, after all, Bitcoin is universal. It is not American, it is not Indian, it's something, blockchain technology, we don't know where it is. So it threatens the fundamental sovereignty of that nation. It threatens us also. We know people go in for Bitcoins and all, but not in India. Okay. People are looking government-backed stable coins and all that, but that's a later day story. It's yet to evolve. So Bitcoin threatens China from that point of view. And China and Communist Party want control. They lose control on this, so they will never ever allow Bitcoin to come in. And this is not their policy today. This has been their policy ever since I remember. But I think in 21, they officially put out that Bitcoin is illegal in China. One. Number two, Bitcoin, if Chinese start, they'll take money out. As it is, China has a problem of flight capital. Every rich guy in China wants to take capital out. So Bitcoin becomes a huge medium to take money out. And if that happens, China collapses. Very simple. I mean, it's a very straightforward equation. No Communist Party will allow this to happen. Capital flight will kill you, right? And China capital, especially after what happened to Jack Ma. Keep getting back to Jack Ma. There are others also who have been sacked, like for the chap in the guy in Hong Kong. I'm forgetting his name, Jimmy Lai or something like that, who owned. He was a
Jimmy Lai, Apple publisher.
Yeah, Apple publisher. He was also trapped because he was not in control of the Chinese, right? The Communist Party. Control. They want control. So capital of flight is something which they will not agree. The third major factor is power. You need a lot of power for Bitcoins mining, right? You need a lot of power, immense. Why do you think Pakistan is signed on to World Liberty Finance? I mean, it's not a foolish move. Why is Trump zeroed on to Pakistan? Okay, let me tell you that story. It's a very interesting story. How CPEC is helping Trump and his family set up WLF in Pakistan. I don't know if many of you know this story also, but let me explain. You see, CPEC, the 35% of China-Pakistan economic corridor was what? Thermal power. Okay. Now, they came up with the thermal plants and all that, 17, 18, they started early harvest, all that, and Pakistan started producing thermal power. But the idiots that they were, the Chinese and the Pakistanis both together, they didn't have transmission lines. You know that? No transmission lines. So they were producing power which they couldn't transmit. Okay. And of course, they were locally giving power and all that, but they didn't have transmission lines. And where they were producing power, industry couldn't be set up. This is the story of CPC anywhere you go. It's an idiot's gamble, actually. That's why it's dead. So all that was happening. Now, something else happened. Anyway, CPEC was touted as thing, and they were about to lay out power lines. China was to fund them. Because even for power lines, you need money. Pakistan's got no money. It's not got money to even drink water. Okay, today. So when that was happening, the 2 years back, the second Chinese revolution took place. High tech and new technology, new quality production, and new quality, new era. All that Xi Jinping nonsense. What was that? Solar panels, batteries, and they came to China. The Chinese came to Pakistan with a whole lot of them, and the Pakistanis took to it like a duck to water. They took the solar panels, batteries, hey, whoa. And all farmers in Pakistan have established solar panels and pumps to pump water from underneath because there's no water in the Indus. They have to pump water and they have to go deep. So they have to put heavy gen sets, heavy put everything. Uh, heavy pumps. And heavy pumps need a lot of electricity. And solar was an easy way. So Pakistan went hammer and tongs, all individual at the grassroots level. Result, no one wanted power from the thermal plants. They stopped taking power in the grid. Now, whatever power could be transmitted from these power plants, all these power plants were operating at about 25-30% capacity. Gone. Now, another thing which happened in CPC, I'm telling you this because how CPC is helping Trump, I'll come to that, was that all these individual power producers, IPPs as they call, they're all Chinese. So now the Chinese are stuck with the power plants. The Pakistan owes CPC. What are that bloody nonsense? But the Chinese are there running those power plants and they're not getting money for whatever power they're producing. End of story. So the Chinese are up a gum tree. Okay. And what to do? So here comes Trump and World Liberty Finance with this Bitcoin plan. And you need power. Where is power available? Pakistan. So the Chinese are going to power Trump's World Liberty Financial to do Bitcoin. Okay, so that's the Bitcoin story. Pakistan doesn't matter. उसको तो वैसे भी Pakistani rupee no one is interested in. For him, any coin is good enough, whether it's Bitcoin or yuan or dollar or he will take your Indian rupee also. Okay, Pakistan is you know how it is. Anything goes in Pakistan. Okay. The way I look at it, put it simply, man, woman, or dog, it doesn't matter to a Pakistani. So, right. And so that's the story there. I've told you the story because how China has funded Pakistan. Leave that out. Get back to Bitcoins in this thing. So you need power to do mining, which China can't give. And if you have to give, all their thermal plants have to restart, which is pollution for them. Okay. So, and they don't want to do that. So they have to reinvest or restart. And if they want AI, see, the conflict is with AI. AI needs power. What are the two? I'm now going on a tangent, but it's well worth understanding this. What are the two things which today are at premium for AI developers? I'm not talking of small developers. I'm not talking of a guy like DeepSeek, PeepSeek and all. Big guys. Two things. One is power, energy. And the second thing is semiconductors. There's a choke on semiconductors, chokehold on semiconductors. You don't have semiconductors, you don't have GPUs. Finished. You want GPUs, you need power. So AI is the next big thing, and China is invested heavily in AI. So how can they invest into Bitcoin then? Power for Bitcoin. They're lost, they'll be finished. So if you look at all this, I don't think China will ever get into Bitcoin. One. Number two, if you divert power to Bitcoin, see any generation of power, whether it is AI, whether it is thermal, nuclear, everything except solar, okay, except solar, every form of power needs water, and China is water deficient. That's the next point. No? So why would China get into Bitcoins? Why would China get into which, will put a huge problem into its water resources and other natural resources? Why would China like to get after all this, capital flight and control? So these three main things, pull China back from getting involved with Bitcoin. And I think the Chinese are pretty clear about this. And the Chinese, right from 21, they said no. And of course, then there's this person of Xi Jinping. I don't think Xi Jinping understands all this beyond the point. And at this point of time, with the kind of things which are happening with Zhang Yuxia and Liu Junli and whatever happening with, there's a power struggle going on. I mean, people underestimate that. And as I keep reading Chinese articles, the power struggle is pretty deep. I mean, just to give you a heads up to everyone, 2 days back, Xi Jinping wanted to remove Zhang Yuxia and Liu Junli through the National People's Congress. You see, the National People's Congress uh, uh, has a standing committee. Through that standing committee of the National People's Congress, people have to be removed. That's the basic thing. It's like a parliamentary committee for them. Right? Only thing is their structure is different. So the agenda in that parliamentary committee was not to remove these chaps, but to remove three other guys. And I believe Xi Jinping tried to put these two people also in and get him removed. But that couldn't be done. Now, once that is removed by the NPC standing committee, then it will go to the Politburo. There's a story. I mean, that the first step itself, Xi Jinping couldn't cross. So as a result, Zhang Yuxia and Liu Junli, their names are still on the PLA website. But articles against them are coming, dime a dozen. So overall, it's not a comfortable situation. Now people are talking whether there's the second cultural revolution going on in China. Something very serious. So if all this is going, how will he accept something which will enhance capital flight? See, again, I'm coming to the internal situation. He will not accept anything which undermines his thing. So I don't think, and that's how China has come out with it. And why they came out with it yesterday, why they reiterated, this was banned from 21. I think people are now trying. And this gives me an indication that things are not good. See, again, you have to connect. If I'm a businessman and I have a lot of yuans with me, and I don't want to stay in China anymore because tomorrow I might get sacked or put back in the can. And there's a purge going on. If it's a second cultural revolution, the way people are, what will I do? What will you do? Let me ask you. You'll also put your money in Bitcoin and take it in Hawaii or some other place, or even Singapore or wherever, isn't it? I mean, that's fundamental. So I think these few factors tell me that China will never get into Bitcoins. If not the future, I don't know. Next 5-10 years, definitely no. My views. These are my views. Your views, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. You are right. The people in China, intermediate to really wealthy, what they have done is they have systematically gone about buying real estate, especially in the American mainland, Boston area, Bay Area in Silicon Valley, and also Seattle and Vancouver, and I think a bit of Portland, mainly in Seattle and Vancouver. So much so that Vancouver passed a law saying that if you buy a property and if you don't happen to be a Canadian citizen, you have to pay a certain amount of overhead, non-citizen overhead. Not only that, Vancouver didn't stop there because that did not stop these people from lapping up property. What they did then, they said unoccupied apartments, you have to still pay some extra money. Because, they say that, look, you may not be in the house, but the water goes all around you, electricity goes
Yeah,
all around you,
you pay.
every facility has to be done around you, and you are needlessly. They were trying to take back the price of real estate in Vancouver because it was becoming unaffordable for the people of Vancouver. So the same thing exists in the United States. In Silicon Valley, I know that any office space that comes up, and by the way, many office spaces are empty. Chinese will come and just lap it up. There is a
Yeah.
website called Bizben, Bizben. Look it up, yours. Bizben, Bizben, and that's where people are putting things on sale, and somebody is buying it. Why I know that is I was trying to rent some area for my wife's business, and every time they will give a number and you call that number, the guy says, oh, I can't tell you the final answer, my boss has to tell. And where is your boss? My boss is in mainland China. I mean, I got so tired of listening to this. I said, okay, there has to be somebody who owns property here. And finally, we got something. But this thing is becoming more and more, dear. So, and there are some states, like in Florida, Texas, and a few other states, who have banned sales of real estate, land, and other things to China.
Yeah.
They basically
China.
named it.
Yes. I remember that. No, not only there, even in the Midwest. Even in the Midwest, this is happening.
Many states are doing that.
Yeah. See, again, it's not a matter of bitcoins only, though we are talking of bitcoins. It gives me the larger picture which I'm trying to put across. Why are Chinese buying property in USA? And they are. What you're saying, I'm aware. Because when I went to USA, I did do a little study about it. And when I speak to people, they exactly tell me what you're saying. So, of course, I don't want any property in USA. Look, this property here is great for me. Right? And so I go with you 100% on this. But the larger picture is we have to keep track of China. What is happening in China is pretty serious. And this Bitcoin business is just an indication. Money coming out of China at, they're not in places like Silicon Valley and all. It doesn't matter how much. I mean, I think these guys are buying at about 15 to 20% more than the market rate, and regularly so. So I go with you completely. Yeah.
I got to tell you one more thing. In the first term of Trump, what used to happen was houses beyond, I think, 2 million or so. Now that number has gone up to 4 million. Today, any 4 million above real estate transaction in United States, the buyer typically tends to be Chinese. And those days, when first term of Trump, they used to bring money in suitcases, and then they would buy the properties. Easiest way to sell, right? The bank gets the money because they would have been giving the loan to the seller, and the seller gets the margin. So they'll say there is so much loan and this is the price of the house. The loan gets paid off. This guy gets his money. Everybody is happy because there is no more risk. So what happened was that in Trump administration found out that there is no way of finding out if taxes were paid on the cash that was being brought in. So they started putting a requirement, KYC. So the bank through which they were doing the deal, that bank was required to say that I have audited the taxes of the person and that he has paid taxes, and these are the countries where they pay taxes. But then the script changed. Then what happened was the money started going into Canada, and Canadian banks were the fronts to which these transactions were happening. Then Trump administration came out with KYCC, client's client. You have an American bank and it's getting the money from a Canadian bank. So the Canadian bank was asked to verify that the taxes were paid there. And that's how they caught TD, Toronto Dominion Bank. It's now, because it was laundering a lot of drug money. So a lot of mess. And now I think some orderness is coming, but Trump also doesn't want to go, headlong into this because it will ruin the economy. This is being kept up because of that. Pricing in real estate, office real estate, is being kept up because somebody is coming and buying, And if that stops, then the thing is going to crash, and they don't want that either. Lots of small wheels within wheels, sir. Well, we'll continue. We'll come back to this in a couple of weeks' time. We'll talk more about this because this is just the beginning. We have one or two questions. Oh no, we don't have a question, so we can just wrap it up now. I'd like to come back in a few weeks' time because this is just the beginning, like I said. Sir, any final thoughts, and then we can wrap it up.
No, we are living in interesting times. We are living
Yes,
in very
very true.
interesting time. Very interesting
Very
time.
true.
Every day there is something happening which is out of the ordinary, right? And we don't know how things are drifting. And I mean, one of these days, maybe tomorrow, we could do a discussion about how India handles the rush of people who are coming in, and what's India doing, which India needs to do, because it's as if
Yeah.
India is the honeypot to every bee is, making a beeline. So what does India do in this kind of a thing? What are the dangers it faces?
Yes,
Let's talk
yes.
tomorrow.
Let's do that. Let's do that. We'll be back
Yeah.
tomorrow, viewers, with this topic: rush of investment into India. How clean is it, and what are the consequences? Thank you so much, sir.
Namaskar.